The Kenya Gen Z should stop seeing themselves as a force of resistance. Instead, they should see themselves as a force of change. Going by the current political events in the country, the Gen Z is suddenly being pushed aside just because they have not stepped up. Before I go further, listen to Jalango intently.
Ndugu zangu vijana, vijana magen Z ambao sasa wamesema wanataka kwenda Quran.
Yes.
Na wanasema 2027 mtatupata.
Yes. Now ndo wata take over. It's time for them to take over.
Chris.
Yes sir.
Kuonyesha siasa ni nini?
Nionyeshe ndugu yangu.
Ukiwa unasubiri ukiwa unasubiri kwanza siasa yako 2027 for example, okay? Na unapanga kabisa kuwa unaenda kumtoa William Samoei Ruto na Kindiki waende nyumbani, na wewe ni team one term. Si wa Munyoro, wewe umesema mimi Ruto na Kindiki
go home,
wanaenda nyumbani. Okay? Nimeingia kwa page ya Kindiki.
Yes.
Okay? Ini Kindiki on Wednesday. On Wednesday alikuwa Tharaka Nithi.
Okay.
Amekutana na maelfu ya watu. Unaona? Hapa akakuja Kwale Matuga. Okay? Amekutana na maelfu za watu. Akawachana na huko, alikuwa Tononoka Mombasa, ni maelfu ya watu. Akatoka tena kidogo, ndio huyu alikuwa Elgeyo Marakwet, elfu ya watu. Akakuwa Igembe tena,
maelfu ya watu.
Unaona, akakuwa Sitotuo huku ni Keyo. Huyo ni naibu wa rais.
Yes.
Si rais.
Naibu wa rais.
Huyo ni naibu wa rais.
Naibu wa rais.
Okay? Na ni hivyo kila siku. Meaning wako ground. Unanipata? Ukija kwa page ya rais tuseme. Okay? Of course hii wiki amekuwa Homa Bay. Na imekuwa ni daily mkutano, ako Kiambu, ako wapi, nini. Wanaongelesha watu. Okay? Ukienda kwa page ya Wamunyoro, ulikuwa unaona kila siku wako juu ya gari, mkutano. Kwa sababu tayari wanajua what politics is. Now that is politics.
Sio mtandao.
Mungu moja siwezi kukudanganya. Siasa kwa mtandao achana na.
Yes, hii mtandao ndio ilisababisha vurugu.
Ndio.
Hii mtandao tu.
Ndio. Ni mtandao ilivuruga. Siwezi kataa. Na saa hizi watu wako ground. Watu wako ground. Watu washaingia ground.
Kwa hivyo mtandao na ground vitu mbili tofauti
kabisa. Siwezi kukudanganya. Siwezi kukudanganya. Na kama kuna Gen Z anapanga kusimama, atoke mtandao saa hizi, amue ni ward gani anataka kwenda kusimama, constituency gani, county gani anataka kwenda kusimama. Arudi kwa ile county, aanze sasa tena afresh, kujua party ambayo imechukua hapa ni nani. Unajua? Ajue party leaders, grassroots leaders ni akina nani, wapi, nini. Hiyo ndio siasa. Na wanasiasa wanaijua. Na ikiendelea hivi venye inaendelea, Gen Z itabidi wamchague kati ya William Ruto ama team yenye akina Wamunyoro watamleta. There will be no third force because it will be too late. And if they want to create a third force yenye inaweza shtua, lazima saizi wakoe wameanza kutembea.
First, what emerges from this interview is the issue of Gen Z creating a third force. In the previous video that I did, I said this: the Gen Z will be a third force. But here are two things you need to understand. Under this third force that the Gen Z have been talking about, there are two categories. The first one is a potent third force. Now, in this potent third force, it means that the Gen Z will rally behind someone like Maraga, support them in droves or in large numbers to a level that can create a wave against President Ruto and Wamunyoro. That is the first aspect. And in this first aspect, if the Gen Z rally behind such a candidate, support them, mobilize resources, campaign vigorously, go to the ground, hit the ground, talk to people, that third force can definitely win because the Gen Z have numbers. This is the second category of the third force. Now, this one is lethargic, it is weak. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that this is a third force where the Gen Z have already split. They're not united for one cause. So, few rally behind a candidate, others go to their tribal cocoon, and others do not know where they belong or they are undecided. So this second force will not have a candidate that can win an election. However, as I mentioned previously, that in this second category, what we can have is a candidate who is not getting that national support from the young people, but this candidate can get perhaps 200,000 votes or 300,000 votes, and that number is huge and it can trigger a runoff. So that is it. So the Gen Z have to choose which side do they belong. Do they want to create a third force that is potent to a level of perhaps even winning an election, or a third force that can perhaps cause a rerun? And in that second force, as I mentioned, it is divided. Second force actually under the third force is actually divided. So the Gen Z have to choose. And if they choose that potent third force, then they must start right now, as Jalango puts it. Another very important point that Jalango raises here is, okay, as much as we need to change the presidency, or we need, someone else to be our president, it is also important you consider other elective offices. Okay, there's MP, MCA, women rep, senator, governor, and all that. So meaning you should start doing something right now. Get offline. Okay, use offline to communicate your message, but do not use online for campaigns. Okay, it is important. You can still tell people, okay, I am running for this office and all that. But what's so important here is you going to the ground. If you want to be, for instance, Busia governor, you don't have to campaign on Facebook, on Twitter, on X, on TikTok, or whichever social media platform. Instead, go to Busia County, start talking to people. No grassroots leaders, people who are influential in that area. So that lays a basis for you to have something at the end of it, because there's no way you'll just use social media to campaign and expect to win. So you just have to go to the ground, understand what people want, what people expect from you, what changes people want. If you do that, at least you can have some leverage towards 2027. And also, starting late can cost you. Hear me out. Already President Ruto is campaigning. Already Gachagua and his team are campaigning. So how about you? That's the important question. In this case, what do we have? Instead of President Ruto, going to counties, every time and all that, is meeting grassroots leaders. These are people who are influential on the ground. So having them come to State House, have a conversation with them, tell them what he's doing, that is impactful. So at the end of it, President Ruto's message would have reached those counties. That will place President Ruto in a better position to campaign even in 2027, because he has started it as early as now. So who knows, maybe President Ruto targets that by the end of maybe next year, all grassroots leaders from every county would have gone to State House. So from there, when he starts his campaigns officially, at least he would have reached out to all grassroots leaders who would help him mobilize or campaign. Do you think the Gen Z are right now doing the right thing as far as 2027 is concerned?